Hi everyone, I'm Miguel Rivera, and this is Real Talk with Miguel Rivera. You're listening to Real Talk with Miguel Rivera, a podcast that inspires individuals to connect, build community, and pursue their passion. My name is Miguel Rivera, and I'm an educator, community advocate, and executive director of Dream Big Project. And I'm sitting down with passionate and inspiring individuals to talk about their stories, the lessons they've learned, and how they're making an impact. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, humans of all ages. I have a very special guest in front of me, and I would like to welcome every single one of you to Real Talk with Miguel Rivera, episode 13. I am your host, Miguel Rivera, and I have Cano with me today. Crystal was raised in Norwalk, California, where she lived for 20 years. She attended Norwalk High School and was well involved in the varsity softball team, where then she went off to play in the collegiate level, graduating from a Christian college, Hope International University, with a BA in psychology and counseling. She took what she learned in her psych classes and began to help people. Crystal knew she was meant for something greater. She realized that there was and still is a huge need for the lack of financial education in our country, so she became a licensed agent. Now serving many families weekly, she's grown a huge passion for helping families, getting on track financially, and changing their lives for the better. Crystal, welcome. Thank you for being on the podcast.
No, Miguel, thank you so much for having me. It's definitely an honor. I've followed you on social media for quite some time, and we know each other through mutual friends.
Right.
And quite honestly, I don't know your story, but not yet, but I'm truly inspired by the way that you show up every day through social media. I'm a huge believer that the Lord puts certain gifts in certain people to fulfill a purpose. Definitely. And to inspire other people. And God has definitely placed his hand on you to inspire those people. So I appreciate that. The honor is mine to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate the kind words. That's, and I really, just to kind of add to that, God's purpose for us, right? Mm-hmm. And for all of us, I didn't really understand that or know it until my injury in 2009, until I got in an accident, until I woke up and was like, then I was woke, I guess you can say, right? Mm-hmm. Almost lost my life. I experienced a near-death experience in 2009. Terrible car accident, broke my neck. Car flipped a couple of times, went into a ditch, broke my neck, and I woke up in the hospital. Mm-hmm. One more flip of the car, who knows, right? Or 9 out of 10 times, I feel like someone would not have made it through that. But the Lord did have a purpose for me, and I was able to get through that, and here we are today, right? Yeah. So I totally agree with you in that as far as God's purpose for us, and if we're aware of that, we can use that. Yeah. He's totally guiding us in a direction that's bigger than us, and ultimately will allow not only for us to benefit as individuals, but for people around us.
Oh yeah.
Right.
And I think it's also pretty inspiring for you in your situation. It's like there's so many people who go through different challenges in life, big or small, and yours, definitely life-changing. But you have two choices. Number one, you play victim, or number two, you choose to inspire and, be that light for other people. Right. And it's pretty awesome that you didn't decide to play victim, but you decided to go towards a route that is going to uplift people.
Right.
So
I agree. I think that's really... there's no like magic pill, you know what I mean? You just got to be aware of yourself, be aware of your purpose, your why, have that all aligned, values and goals, and then go for it, right? There's no shortcut. There's none of that. Nope. You have to put in the work. And I didn't understand that. I wasn't aware of that in the beginning. It actually took me a few years to really start connecting the dots. I remember actually the first 2 years after my injury, after I got in that accident, I did play victim. I did. And I think that may be normal for people who go through something tragic, right? And I played victim. I didn't really point the finger at others or myself, but I was just really like down and out. And so I wasn't really down to do anything. You know, I felt sorry for myself, played that victim role in that sense. And eventually, as I started to reflect, got closer to God.
Oh, wow.
And closer to my family, and saw that the people who really did love me and cared about me, right? Because there was a huge shift within that social group as well.
Yeah.
Like the people who were always there were no longer there.
Wow.
And so those little things, little by little, started to open my eyes. And yeah, so God has definitely blessed me in that way. And till this day, I'm still feeling and receiving his blessings. And I hope, you know, others are as well.
Yeah.
You know, if they can connect those dots and really start to reflect, dig deep, you know, there's nothing that God can't do.
Oh, yeah. He's a gracious God. Trust
Exactly.
me. He's
Amen.
such a gracious God, and he's so merciful, and he's just...
I agree. I totally agree.
Yeah.
And so I'm really glad that, you know, he was able to save me in that way, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And literally, right?
Amen.
Got baptized in Jesus' name at a Dream Big event. And that wasn't even the intention.
Yeah.
So, you know, not to go all over that, but, you know, long story short, we went to Skid Row to serve. We collaborated with the mission and church.
Okay.
And I've never even spoken on this on the podcast, by the way, but I'm glad this is definitely coming up. So we go to a mission and church in Skid Row, something we've done on an annual basis every year. This is nothing new. We're always doing this. And so this one particular event, you know, we do the same thing. We go out there, and my friend is a preacher, and he was preaching. He did service before we gave out food and clothes and stuff. And I remember being in the back of the church, a small little church, and he's preaching up front, and I can clearly see him and all these people just sitting there. And I'm in the back listening, believer in God, but haven't been saved. So I'm in the back like, okay, cool, you know, my boy's preaching. He's hitting all these points, this and that. And so I'm kind of waiting for the service to be over so we can start doing what we were supposed to do. But I'm still listening, still in service. And so at the end of the service, I'm like, man, he's hitting all these points like during, and I'm like, I feel like he's speaking to me, you know, like he's talking. It's always like that. He's talking directly to me. And so after service, he comes, like starts, you know, greeting people, and he comes to me. He's like, hey, bro. He's like, you want to get saved today? He's like, you want to get baptized, is what he said. And I was like, and there was just something in here that was working, like just like working.
Tug from the Holy Spirit.
And then I was like, yeah, bro, I do. And then right then and there, they have like a little, it's like a hot tub, but they use it to baptize people. And so they gave me clothes, changed, and got baptized right then and there.
Wow.
So that was incredible.
Yeah.
Right? Like for me to go, I'm over here going here thinking I'm about to serve people, and I end up getting
saved.
Yeah. So
completely different chapter, season in your life.
Right.
Yep.
So that was amazing.
Yeah.
And God does work in mysterious ways, and he knows, you know, he's aware of what's happening. I remember that to this day.
Yep.
So that was an definitely amazing moment for me. But I'm really glad that we're able to kick off on that, because I think that's a very important thing to talk about.
Oh, it is, definitely. I think that for me, you know, growing up, I was raised a Catholic.
Right.
And for us, it was always religion. It was you go to church, and every Easter and every Christmas.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Let's be honest, it was every Christmas and every Easter, and not once did I ever learn anything that the priest was saying. And I'm like, I don't want to go to church. I was little. I didn't understand. Right. But it wasn't until I attended the Christian university that I went to, where it was a Christian-based university, and man, it literally built my foundation to where I am now as a woman, and you know, the future self that I see.
Right.
And so I was an athlete. We were required to go to mandatory chapel every Thursday. If we didn't go, then we didn't play.
Wow.
And we were also, Christian school. So we had to take biblical study classes.
Right.
So by default, we minored in biblical studies. And I never really understood the Bible. It was always super hard for me to understand God's word. But as I continue to grow in my faith and continue to become convicted by the Holy Spirit and continue to grow more and more in the word and in relationship with God, that's where it was a huge shift for me. And so it's definitely your foundation. It's who you are as an individual in your home, in your business, at your work, with your friends, at church.
Yeah, everywhere.
And I strongly encourage people to get planted in a church.
Man.
So
let's plant these seeds right now.
Yeah.
You know, whoever's listening, start planting these seeds.
Yeah, and it'll completely change your life.
So you went to the Christian university, not like a non-Christian at the time. Were you aware of just what you were expected of as a student there and all the biblical classes that you had spoke? Like, were you already aware of that and you were open to taking that on without?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, yeah, I was totally up for it. I mean, I was honestly willing to go anywhere that was giving me a scholarship.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that for me, it was, okay, so I had played softball at Cerritos College, and there, one of the coaches from Cypress College was moving over to Hope International to completely shift the program around, which he did. So he comes and tries to recruit me, and I'm like, no, like, I don't want to go and play for a school that you're just going to use me as your guinea pig.
Right.
You know, I'm much better than that.
Right.
Me hard-headed and stuff. But he was very persistent. And he's like, come check out the school. Bring your mom. Come check out the school. And he's like, this is what we have to offer. And I said, okay. So I ended up deciding I signed my letter of intent, and I played for Hope International University. And the first year was rough, going into a program where I'm new. I'm the new kid in town, and we started a couple weeks right before season started, and it was rough, but that definitely helped me into coming into the next season, my senior year of college. Right,
because you transferred from Cerritos, so you entered the university your junior year, right?
Yep.
Okay, and then what was it that kind of made you commit? Like, at first you were like, nah, and then you took that visit, you went, and then you committed after that, or
I think for sure it was taking that leap of faith of putting my trust in a coach who, in his previous college, Cypress College, had won multiple state championships. So for me, it was, I had this other option of going to another Christian university, but I was going to go in as a walk-in, or I could have gone in as an individual with a scholarship. Right. And so I took it. And so...
gotta take this.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. I was like, dude, the more money that I can save for my mom, the better.
Oh, my gosh.
And that was really just the reason why I went to college. If it wasn't for the scholarships that I had received for my athletic performance, I would have never really gone.
So you were a straight baller in softball, right?
Yeah, I was. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, you don't gotta hold it.
But you know what? I'm not gonna lie to you and say that I was like good. I was good all my years. I started playing when I was 6. Then I took a big break, and then I started again when I was 12. Man, I sucked. I sucked so bad. I shook out every single at bat. Oh, they put me in right field. Like the worst position that you can play in softball.
Just put her over there. Nobody hits it over there.
And in Little League, you're required to play all the players.
Right. So they're like, first spot.
It was so bad that the championship game was coming up. It was like the championship before the game before the championship game. And the coaches didn't even call me for the game because they knew that they were going to have to play me.
That is terrible on their part.
So bad. But it wasn't until the following year where my stepdad was the reason where I had played softball. He started coaching my team. And so he was the first one in and the last one out. And while he was putting away the gear, I was taking extra swings and I was taking extra reps. And I was, hey, let's put in a little extra work. Let's get better. And then that was the shift of my mindset to becoming the best player. And I envisioned myself, oh, wow, I want to play in college.
Right. So how old were you when you made that shift, when you started those extra reps?
Yeah, it was anywhere between 13 and 14.
So right after that championship.
Embarrassment.
Yeah. That you didn't participate
embarrassment season. Yeah, that one.
Okay. So you knew that, all right, I got to do something here.
Yeah.
You had a little bit more time. You realized with your stepdad being the coach, like I have a little more time to work on this and that.
Yeah.
And then did that continue on after that?
Or it did. Yeah. My stepdad was my coach for many years. That same year that he first started coaching, I made the all-star team.
Nice.
So it was a huge shift of striking out every day, at bat to making it to the all-star team.
Heck yeah. And
just the friendships that I built, really family that I built, the places that I visited, the whole experience. I was just so grateful for my parents because they had sacrificed so much because they knew my potential. And for me, my mindset was, dude, they're putting all this debt on their credit cards to buy an airplane ticket to fly to Colorado so that I can potentially get scouted by a university.
Yeah, that's a lot.
How selfish is it of me to not work hard and give it all I have?
That's great that you were able to really grasp that and understand that at that age and during that time, because I think it's, I want to say normal, but a lot of kids maybe not see that or appreciate that and go all out if that's the case. Were you in travel ball? Is that why you were going different? Okay.
I did, so after a while the new norm became travel ball. And then that's when a lot of the sacrifice came from my parents, where whether it was my mom had to work an extra Saturday or, all the time was really spent on me. And I felt really bad for my other siblings, but I was just so grateful for all the time that they had put in. And it really, I cannot explain, I cannot emphasize it enough. If you have children, put them in sports.
Right, I agree.
Because it will build them into the adults. It would build them into the work ethic. The competitiveness, good competitiveness.
Right, exactly.
Camaraderie, unity, leadership, all
those things within one area.
Within one sport.
Yeah, one sport. Yeah. Exactly.
So
I totally agree with that. My parents put me and my brothers in sports at a very young age. For me, before even going into sports, I was the one telling my parents, I want to play football.
Yeah.
I want to play baseball. I want to play basketball, not knowing if I was good or the expectations or the requirements. So one particular time, my favorite sport has always been baseball and football. So I've always gone back and forth every season. For football, I remember signing up. This is when we used to live in Long Beach, and not a lot of people know this story, but this is when I first started playing football, and I signed up in Long Beach, and I'm like, hell yeah, I'm down. I'm ready to play. I have friends that play. I'm excited, and so we go sign up, and then the people at the sign up table, they're like, oh, well, we would love to have you, but there's a weight limit. And me as a young kid, I was like a little fat, overweight kid. I was a little fat, overweight kid who wanted to play football and was excited. And then I didn't know there was a weight limit, for every age level.
Oh.
And I was like, damn. I was like, what? He was like, yeah, you got to stop eating beans and rice. And I was like, damn. I love beans and rice.
I quit.
Yeah. And I was really thinking about man, should I sign up? But I was like, no, I'm gonna sign up. I'm gonna lose this weight, So I lost the weight, but every year I had to worry about that. And it wasn't until this one time when we moved to Norwalk, I wanted to continue to play football. And this was in the 6th grade, going into middle school. I played for Downey Razorbacks.
Okay.
And so again, we're at the highest age group, so that it's not like they can move me up to a higher level because of the weight class. So anyways, I sign up for Downey in the same kind of scenario. The manager, assistant coach, equipment manager guy pulls me aside with one other player, another teammate, and our parents. And this is like before, the season starts, before we get certified for weight and all that. And so he's like, hey, I just want you guys to know that, we certify in 1 month. And the weight limit is whatever it was. And I don't think that you'll be able to make it in time. So I'm willing to give you guys a refund if you want to, quit or kind of turn in your gear and not play. Because if you don't make this weight, you're not going to play anyways. And so my friend was like, all right, I'll quit. He turned in his gear. And I was like, hell no, I'm not quitting. I was like, I've been doing this already. I'm not gonna quit this time, when it's like that last level.
Yeah.
So anyways, I was 20 pounds overweight.
Yeah.
And I needed to lose 20 or 21 to get certified. And I was a month away. The day of certification comes, I hop on the scale and I'm 1 pound under the weight limit and I get certified.
Wow.
So when that happened, that was a complete shift for me.
Oh, yeah.
I was I could do anything.
Yep.
For me, battling those things at that age, even to when I had to lose 20 pounds, the most I've ever had to lose. When I did that, I was just like, wow, I can do anything. And going to your point earlier, just the support from parents, man, my mom and dad, supported me a lot, not only with the equipment, but all right, let's get this diet going. Let's go to the park. Let's work on this. Let's do that.
Yeah.
And so, without them involved within that, I don't think I would have been able to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that just kind of...
That's so powerful because when you think about, okay, I have this goal. And when you know your goal, when you know your why, the how becomes so easy.
Right.
It's it's a no-brainer when you make that decision. Hey, I need to be a part of this football team. I've worked so hard already. For me to quit, that's not even in the book anywhere.
Exactly.
That's not going to happen.
You don't know me.
Yeah.
You don't know me if you're offering me this.
Yeah. And so, man, definitely a huge mindset shift when you reached your goal and you're like, okay, what's next?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So at that point...
That's so powerful.
Huge. So I ended up playing offensive lineman, being the fat kid, playing lineman blocking for people. Once I got to Norwalk, freshman year, I became the quarterback. It was a complete shift in positions. And so that was also oh, damn. I didn't realize just how things completely changed in that sense. So... going back to softball for you, did you play travel ball in high school? You still continue to play travel ball even though you played for Norwalk too? Or
I did, yeah. So I played for Norwalk. Excuse me. I played for Norwalk. So whenever we stopped travel ball, I believe it was called a dark season. So we just stopped playing. While we played for our high school teams. So for me, it was 24/7. Never really had a life.
Right.
It was literally Monday through Sunday softball.
Right.
Monday through Sunday softball, and weekends were the tournaments, and we'd be in at 6 a.m. and we had a really good team, so we would make it to the championship game. Right. We wouldn't leave till 8, 9, 10 at night. Dang. And so it really built I'm just so grateful for it because it's I could have gone into other things, and I'm just glad that it was softball that I really dedicated my life to. And like I mentioned before, I wouldn't be where I am now if it wasn't for that sport.
Definitely. That's really awesome that you're able to make that connection at such an early age and have that support and kind of continue to pursue that passion.
And of course, as you continue to grow as an individual, you look back at, for me, I would look back at my years playing softball and it's I wish I would have given it more.
That's so true.
I wish I would have worked harder. I wish I would have, not been so hard on myself. Right. Or I wish I don't know, just legit work harder.
That's a great point.
And have a better mindset.
Right, because looking back, there's always things that you feel like I could have done this, or this could have been different, or did more of this, and I totally agree with that.
But it's definitely also like taking what it is that you didn't do there in that chapter of your life, and then moving it onto the next chapter
That's a good
or the
point.
next season, and so just being able to learn from those experiences and really not do them again.
even not within sports itself, right? Like talking about earlier, the point you made about being in sports, you really are able to build different characteristics of yourself, like teamwork or resiliency or whatever it may be. So also taking that and applying it to another field, right? Like not only in sports, because there's a lot that comes. You develop a lot of things as you move forward in sports, like throughout the years, and then applying those skills that you built and incorporating them into something else. Maybe like a leadership role somewhere, right? Like building teams or that discipline in some case, whatever it may be. Even moving forward as a coach yourself. Have you ever thought about that, being a coach? Or maybe you have.
I think it would probably be for my children. I think it'll probably be for my children. Like I said, God gives certain gifts to certain people. One of those gifts just isn't mine to coach kids. I just don't think so, So we'll see. Maybe for my kids in the future.
Right. It might re-inspire you to recommit to all of it.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, as you know already, it's a lot of work. A lot of time, all that stuff. I coached 5 years at Norwalk football. Not the last 2 years I was off, but the previous 5 years I was coaching there. And for 1 year I was going to graduate school and doing coaching. I don't know what went in my mind, like, hey, you could balance this schedule out. There were days that I had to miss because of school, but I think that just says a lot more about how much I love the sport, how much I loved, being with the kids and kind of coaching them up. And that was a really good thing. So that's why I brought it up, because I started reflecting on that. And I enjoyed coaching a lot. And I think it's a great opportunity if it presents itself.
So I think for me, it was always... so now that I've made the shift into my career and the industry that I'm in now, it was always going back and reflecting on Crystal, the softball player, like the identity that I used to have there. And it was really, every coach knew me, every team knew me, every pitcher knew me. They knew that wherever they pitched it, I was gonna get a hold of the ball. Like, they just knew that they didn't know how to pitch to me. And so I became this, this on a pedestal. Like, I was a good player. I obviously could have done better, but I was good enough for the league that I was in. And, shifting it into the career that I'm in now, at the start of my career, it was like, well, who am I now?
Right.
And it's like, how do I want people to view me? I'm no longer, people don't even know my name. They don't know who I am. They don't know my potential. And it was a really rough start for me, because I kept reverting back to Crystal the softball player. But it wasn't until I made that shift of, no, now I'm creating a new identity for myself, for my future self. And that was really hard to, like, detach myself from it. And then I knew that I had reached a point where I was finally detaching myself from Crystal, the softball player, when I started donating all my T-shirts and throwing away my cleats. And
Did you realize that before doing that, or during, after you did all that?
I was noticing it when I would legit, like, it would come out of my hands. And I'm like, oh, it was such a relief for me, because I know that I reached a higher level of, that's the old me. Like, I'm so grateful for that part of my life. Now it's on to bigger and better.
Right, new chapter.
Yeah. I still have my gloves.
You're like, I still got to keep this.
I still have my gloves, but...
I still got all the game balls.
They're in my stepdad's garage, but...
That's awesome, though. And I think that's a great point that you talk about growing out of those identities, right? Or identity. And I think all of us do it, but sometimes we don't realize it or understand what's happening or where this comes from. But I think there are different stages of development that we, leave and start over again.
For sure.
I think for that one is a great point as far as something so big in your life, right? Crystal's a softball player, and now it's like, well, who am I? When did that question come up? Was it like immediately after softball? Like what when did you start reflecting on that?
I didn't really want to talk about this, but I'm just going to do it because I feel like God is tugging at my heart.
There we go.
So for me, it's like I don't want people to view me in a different way.
Right.
So 2 days before my graduation, I went out with a group of friends. We were in downtown Fullerton, drank a little bit too much, and I ended up getting pulled over.
Oh, and you drove?
So I drove, and so I ended up getting a DUI. So that was the complete 360 in my life where it was like, dude, I'm like arrested in jail.
Wow, they took you in?
They took me in.
Oh.
It was so embarrassing. We laugh about it now because we can laugh about it. But it wasn't until the morning after where I was gathering all my stuff from the cop at the station. And I just started bawling because instantly at that moment, I knew that I had messed up. It was instantly that moment where it was like, Crystal, what were you thinking? But before that, I had done it multiple times, thinking that I was never going to get caught.
Right.
And then this happened. Thankfully, I didn't get hurt. I didn't hurt anybody. Like, thankfully, everything was fine.
Right, exactly.
Except for the fact that I had felt this shame, this, just such a disgrace to my family. And that's where it really shifted for me. Graduation was always the day that I look forward to, even as when I was a freshman. Like, I can't wait to graduate.
Yeah.
Like, I'm envisioning the whole graduation ceremony.
Nice. Yeah.
And I'm at this graduation ceremony with all these things in my mind. Like, what the heck did you just do, Crystal? You're so unworthy. You're so... everything that you worked for 4 years, just down the drain.
Exactly. And this was after when you got pulled over, this was after or before graduation?
This was before graduation. So I got pulled over on a Thursday. My graduation was on a Saturday.
That upcoming Saturday?
That week. No, like 2 days after that.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. I was a wreck.
Oh, what was that like for you to be at graduation with all of these thoughts? And
I was very emotional. And my family still showed up.
Were they upset at you? Were they...
My sister had actually picked me up from the station. And my mom obviously had to go to work. It was a Friday morning. But when my mom got home in the evening, she kind of just sat on the couch next to me and she hugged me and she's like, we'll figure it out. Like, everything's going to be fine. We'll figure it out. And
that's love right there.
Yeah. And so I'm just so grateful that my parents never really saw me for the mistake that I had done because they knew that it didn't define me
right. Exactly.
as a person. And so the support was there. It wasn't until like the 6 months after that where I played victim. And I felt sorry for myself.
Right.
And I couldn't get a job because I initially had got my degree in psychology and counseling. I wanted to go and become a social worker too. But to be a social worker, you need to have a clean driving record.
Right, yeah.
Completely clean driving record. And so even if I wanted to start doing some type of internship, I had to get 3 years of experience.
Right.
If I wanted to get into the master's program, I had to have experience. So I couldn't even do anything until 3 years after.
Because that was on your record.
Because that was on my record.
And so you said you started playing victim much later than...
Oh, yeah. No, it was like instantly. I started playing victim instantly. But it was for probably a period of 6 months.
Really?
Where I had lost who I was, and I just was, man, I feel so terrible because I was, they say hurt people, and I really hurt my family. And you hurt the people closest to you who just want to love you and support you and care for you. And I pushed them away, and I had turned into this person that I hated. And then it shifted for me. I can't really remember when it actually shifted. I think it was more of just little by little, taking it day by day.
Right.
Eventually I got a job, and I started attending church and
started getting the wheels moving
again, and I stopped playing victim.
You're like, okay, I got this.
Yeah, I can do it. It wasn't that bad as I thought,
People still love me.
Yeah. And so for me, it was a little bit embarrassing to share that to other people.
Right.
I just didn't want people to define me for that mistake that I had made.
And did people define you?
No.
Okay.
It was just the old stupid mindset, the just thoughts that came into my head that, people aren't going to accept you. People are going to think that you're a drug or like a alcoholic.
Yeah,
and
they're going to start
thinking all these things.
You with all this.
Yeah, and it's like the minute I entered, I had to go to AA meetings, and it was like, yep, I do not belong here.
Like, no.
And then alongside that, it was a mistake that I had made that's not ever gonna happen again.
Right.
Because once I learn once, it won't happen again.
That's good. And yeah. Looking back now, your family was there the entire time for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome to be able to have that support, especially from family. As far as others outside of family, did anything change, like friends, were no longer there for you, or did anything in that aspect change?
No.
No, okay.
I would say they were all pretty great friends around me.
Good, yeah.
One of my really good friends from college, I had told her like what happened, and she was like, "Oh, babe, like it's gonna be okay." Like, basically just words of encouragement.
Right.
So, and she never looked down on me. She never used that against me or belittled me for making that small mistake.
Making a mistake.
But, yeah. But I paid the consequences with a lot of
I'm sure.
money and
oh man.
I'm good now. Everything's back in order. My insurance is back down.
Let's move on from that.
Which is awesome. But but honestly, that's definitely, if that season in my life would have never happened, I wouldn't be here with you right now.
That's a great point.
And so
that's a great point.
You have to go through those trials and those tribulations in order to become that man or woman that God has called you to be. And realistically, it's just a test from the Lord. I think if He wants to see if you're going to put His trust in Him and Him alone.
Right. That's
and not
so
really
true.
Lean on your own understandings, but on Him.
Amen. Yeah. That's exactly right. I feel like for me, I remember you used to reflect on like, why me, like why this, why that? And, it's really pointing the finger and, just hating myself, asking all these questions, but not understanding why, until, just reflecting and praying on that. And finally one day it was just like, look, God wanted this to happen. There's a reason, because can you imagine, I always tell myself this, talking to myself, like, can you imagine if you were to continue that path that you were on, and what would the outcome have been? It could have been, I could have died, it could have been much worse. So I always think about that, and then I think about like, okay, well, what other scenarios could have happened if you still remained alive, but it was much worse, like, not being able to move your arms. And I remember the doctor saying, if you broke your neck one more cervical higher, you would have been completely paralyzed from the neck down, and you would have been like on kind of had like a tube in my neck to breathe out of, like all these different things, and I was one bone higher, and so I was just incredibly happy that I was able to get out of that with a purpose, and eventually be blessed and be saved by the Lord, you know? So that was definitely a period where an emotional, you know, depressing period, but I was able to get through that with the support and love from my family.
That's so powerful, because when I look back and I think about my situation, it was nothing close to your situation. And
Right.
and then that's when we had to attend like the MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Drivers.
Right.
And I called my mom instantly, and I'm like, I'm so sorry for everything that I've caused you.
Oh my God.
Like, just not thinking. Like, we don't think sometimes.
Right. Yeah. A lot of times, sometimes.
A lot of times. And so, yeah, it was definitely a shift for me also, because it's like, dude, you've been given this next shot.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I'm just so grateful that I wasn't hurt. Nobody else was hurt. So.
Yeah. I was also grateful that it was just me and not anybody else as well. So
that's true.
I'm like, damn, thank God nobody else was involved. Speaking of MAD, you brought that up. So I remember getting through that period of where I was just super depressed, and it was after 2 years. My younger brother, Ivan, was at Norwalk High. Mm-hmm. He was a senior, I think, at the time. And I don't think I've shared this with many people either, but he was putting on these assembly ceremony every 15 minutes. Have you heard of that?
Okay, yeah.
So every 15 minutes, someone gets killed by a drunk driver, right? Mm-hmm. And so they were coordinating that event at Norwalk High School. Mm-hmm. And it's also interesting that when I was a senior at Norwalk, I remember being in the audience for that same assembly. And then I remember telling myself, like, oh, this will never happen to me. Why am I even here? This is, you know, just like, this is pointless, right?
Yeah.
So I wasn't paying attention. I remember telling myself that.
Yeah.
Like, I remember being in the audience telling myself that. And so 2 years or a year or two later, you know, I get it, or not even a year, that was my senior year. Probably months later that summer, I get in the car accident. So going back to what I was saying earlier, my brother coordinating this event. It's 2 years later now after my injury. And he tells me, you know, hey, would you like to be the guest speaker for this event? Mm-hmm. And I remember right away I was like, ooh, I had the chills. Like I wanted to, because I knew my story needed to be heard. I knew it. Like that was God telling me, like, look, I know you don't want to do this. Like, I know you don't, because I really didn't. But you have to. Yep. Like, you have to do this. Mm-hmm. Like, I remember that voice, that sentence being said in my head. Mm. And I was like, damn, my brother asked me, I was like, I don't want to, but I need to. You know, I was like, yeah, I'll take that. So that was the first time I actually shared my story. And it was like in front of hundreds, maybe thousands, because the whole gym was full. Not only the stands, but the basketball court, everything. After I did that, and I got like this feedback afterwards, like all this positive feedback, that's when things started to roll for me after that. When I released all that and kind of put it out there, I was like, okay, let's go, you know. Everybody was like, this is, you know, that's amazing, and thank you for sharing, and this and that. People started giving me their card, asking me to come talk here, come talk there. And I was like, okay, you know, I could impact, create some change. Wow. And then that was the beginning of Dream Big, Dream Big Project. Mm-hmm. And little by little, I started talking more, doing more speaking engagements. And then I felt like, you know what, I can do something bigger than just speaking at a school. Mm-hmm. Like there's a bigger need, and I want to contribute to that.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, long story short, and Dream Big Project came out of that. So that just kind of all came to mind when you brought up MAD so and all of that.
And when you think about, like, I love how you said, I don't want to, but I need to.
Right.
And many times we don't want to do the things that make us uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. We don't want to make the calls, and we don't want to eat the vegetables versus the pizza.
We don't want to work out.
We don't want to work out.
Yeah.
But it's like you need to get comfortable being uncomfortable, because that's the only way that we're going to grow and learn and get better. Mm-hmm. And so imagine you would have been disobedient to God's voice.
Oh my goodness.
Imagine where you would be right now.
I would have still been in the room laying down.
feeling sorry for
Yeah,
yourself.
I'd been like 10 years in, like, bro, what you waiting for? God would have been like, bro, what
Hey,
you doing?
hey, but he'll still be there knocking on your door,
That's
waiting
true.
for you to come home.
Amen to that. That's definitely true. I asked you a few questions.
Okay.
First question I had asked you, what are you currently up to? You provided me with, I'm currently building my business, building my identity, and building myself. Mm-hmm. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, so right now I'm currently, I'm in the financial industry. So
Nice.
I'm an independent contractor for Revolution Financial Management. We're an Aegon Transamerica company.
Mm-hmm.
And, basically in a nutshell, we help people become debt-free, manage and save money, get better returns on their investments than banks.
There you go. Very important stuff.
Yeah, pay little, no taxes on their long-term investments. And really, realistically, just helping people feel safe and have financial peace of mind against unforeseen circumstances or
Right.
tragedies like COVID-19.
Right, exactly.
And so I'm super passionate about what I do. Financial literacy is a topic that our whole country lacks.
I agree.
Our whole country is trillions and trillions of dollars in debt.
Mm-hmm.
And it's never been a requirement in college or in high school to take a financial
Right.
class. And
That should be in there.
seriously, it's the number one leading cause to why people end up in divorce. Because they end up
Dang, I didn't
fighting
know
about
that.
their finances, and
Wow.
people can't budget, and people are emotional decision, like they make decisions based off emotion.
Right.
And that's how people end up
Also impulsive too.
in debt.
Yeah.
Or maybe people living paycheck to paycheck, and it's because they're not controlling their spending habits. And so
Great point.
if I'm able to sit down with a family and really educate them on how to get higher rates of returns, how to minimize in taxes, and how to make sure that they keep all of their money versus the government, the IRS taking
Right.
all their money. If I'm able to educate them on those simple yet powerful concepts.
Yeah, because those are very important, and at the same time, like you said, they're simple, probably even
yeah.
basic, and then that would make a world of difference.
Oh,
right?
yeah. My own conspiracy theory, I think that the government wants us to fail.
Right?
That's why they don't want us to.
That's exactly right. Like they want us to, they dumb things down. Like they want us to
yeah.
kind of stay on that level. Not, directing that to any specific group of people, but
Yeah.
no, that's exactly right. And I like, for example, you can take out a loan to go to school, but they're not going to give you a loan to start a business.
Yep.
Right? Like so many different things that are valuable and that we put on a high pedestal.
Yep.
They incorporate these barriers or depths that we may have to,
Yep.
that are required to get there. And yeah, so I definitely believe
Yeah.
that certain areas they want to keep us there, or make
Yeah.
it very difficult to just outgrow that. But at the
Yeah.
same time, when you have someone with this knowledge and information and who can share this with you, like yourself,
Yeah.
I think it's very important for us to hop all over those
Yeah.
opportunities.
And I think it's also just being able to change the legacy for my family.
Great
because growing up, I mean, my mom didn't know anything about, she did the best she can, but
Right.
the reason why she didn't know was because her parents didn't know.
Exactly. It's generational.
And so how was she supposed to learn it if nobody ever taught it to her? All my mom did was work because she had to provide for 3 girls.
Right.
And so now that my mom's a businesswoman, she's learning all that stuff, and it's pretty awesome. But, for me, it's now being able to change that legacy for my family. Being able to, write a check if my family desperately needs it.
Right.
Being able to be the biggest tither at church. It sounds bad, but I want to be I'm so
Where you
competitive.
at? Yeah. Where's Crystal at?
Yeah. I'm so competitive that I want to be the best at
She
everything.
didn't drop nothing in the bucket today.
It's through the app.
Yeah, there you go. Now through the app.
And if I'm able to just do that for my family, and then really our Hispanic community,
culture, yeah.
we were always taught you live for the weekend, and
work hard.
and you work hard.
Right, not smart, but work hard. And
Yeah.
that's true.
And so just being able to leave an inheritance for your family.
Right.
And we saw it left and right. People have passed away recently, whether it was from COVID or other natural causes. But, you know, there comes the GoFundMe accounts because they had no savings or they had no life insurance.
Right.
Or people are retiring at a later age because they don't have enough money in their retirement account.
Right. They started one very late or didn't even know.
Yeah. Or they put their money in a 401k that the IRS taxes 40 to 50%, and there goes all your money.
Damn.
And so it's learning little concepts that can completely change the trajectory of your financial portfolio.
Not only now, but especially in the future.
Oh, yeah.
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 So with the families that you work with, are these families like a group of people within the family? Can it be an individual?
Yeah.
It can be either or.
It can be anybody.
Does the income level, do you work with certain income levels?
Yeah.
Does it matter?
No, literally, if it's a single mom that just wants to put $50 away for their kids' college fund, dude, let's do it.
Yeah.
Or if it's a business who has retirement accounts that they want to roll over, let's do it.
Nice.
So I do it all.
That's awesome. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Right?
So we're not like the traditional financial industry where we only call you when you've inherited $1 million. You know, hey, that's not us. Yeah. We help anybody and everyone.
That's dope. Yeah, that's really cool. How long have you been doing that now?
I'm going on 4 years.
4 years?
Yeah, 4 years.
And is that like what really, I guess you talked a little bit about that already, but what was that turning point for you to go in that direction?
Yeah, so I had actually, my sister was working at an agency. And I had gone in for a case management position. For my driving record reasons. I couldn't get the job. But the person who I had sat down with, she saw something in me that I didn't see myself. And she calls me later and she's like, hey, like I'm working for this financial firm part-time and they're expanding and they're looking for good people. I think that you'll be a great fit for what they're looking for.
Nice.
And so I went in and just...
That was it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And that's when you think about, like, wow, like God had to change the will that I had for my own life and, like, put it in his own perfect will because that was all part of his plan.
Yes, exactly.
And then I was now in this industry where it's moral, legal, and ethical. It's lucrative. There's a lot of money to be made. And we're helping families get on track financially.
Checks off everything.
Checks off everything. And our office, we're huge on faith. Faith, family, business.
Oh, even
our
better.
faith comes first, then our family, and then our business. Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good.
If you're not right in your faith, if you don't have a solid foundation, whatever faith it is that you believe in, your family isn't going to be right and your business isn't going to be right. And so we're huge advocates on that.
I love that.
And personal growth.
Yeah, that's even better too, right?
And personal growth.
Every level, like every aspect of our lives, like you mentioned, you brought it up, financially, personal growth, right? Just faith, all that's very, very important. That's really cool that a company can bring that within their culture.
Yep.
So I'm sure you love it there. And you've been there for 4 years.
4 years.
Nice.
Love it.
How can families or individuals get in touch with you for that purpose exactly? Like, is there a way to go about that?
Yeah. So I actually have, on my Instagram, I have my website on there. They can always message me, or my cell phone and my email is also on there.
Okay.
They can always email me, say, hey, I'd love to sit down with you. When can we schedule a time? I don't charge a sit-down fee.
Cool.
So everything's complimentary.
Nice.
So I don't charge people a sit-down fee. Yeah. So
that's awesome.
That's one way. And then I have my website on there too, where you're able to schedule an appointment.
Definitely. I wanted to make sure people got that twice because I know we're going to mention it later, but I think that's very important to really, I feel like as we're talking about that, people start considering that. So I wanted to plug that in there right away.
Or they start to think, oh, I've been looking for something like that. I just didn't know who to go to.
Exactly. So Crystal is your girl. Hit her up. I also asked you, what do you think people underestimate about you the most? And you had put, I think it might be that I'm just trying to sell them a product and be done with it.
Yeah.
And you added, I love educating families on financial education and how gaining your knowledge on simple concepts can turn your whole life around.
Yeah.
Which we just touched up on. You want to add anything to that?
I would say, I think it's more of like having people be open to, like, your finances is such a touchy subject. People don't like to talk about it.
Right.
But it's like if nothing changes, nothing changes. And so if one day you plan to retire, if one day you plan on, you know, there's two certainties in life. Number one, you need to pay taxes, and number two, you're gonna die. Like,
right.
it's a certain.
Exactly.
So if you have your assets and, you know, all these things in order, your will and trust, all of that stuff in order, you're good. It's not. And so like our Hispanic family thinks, oh, like we're just calling the dead to us. We're just calling. It's like, no, you're prepared for when you pass away. And your wife is left as now the one responsible for everything.
Right.
You know,
that for her.
So what happens then? You know, and so for me, it's I strictly go in and I educate. And I don't move forward with any plan or any suggestions for this family until they can recite back to me what I just taught them. Because if they don't see the value and they don't understand the simple concepts that I just educated them on, when a crisis comes or somebody loses their job or they think it becomes too expensive, then that's going to be the first thing that they cancel.
Right.
Their retirement, their savings account. That's going to be the very first thing that they end up canceling.
And in your case, with working with families, do you see that a lot? Like as far as the education piece missing when it comes to, you know, before they invest, like maybe they're not understanding the big picture or something specific.
So another really thing that I specialize in is life insurance. And so I'm a huge advocate for life insurance. I always thought it was kind of the topic at the table with my family. Yeah. Because my mom was always in the insurance industry. But I think where people lack the education is really just life insurance also. Life insurance and retirement and savings.
That's true. Yeah.
Because they see it as a cost versus as an asset.
Right.
So it's like you insure your laptop, you insure your house, you insure your phone, your car, all the things that can be replaced, but the one thing that can't be replaced is you.
Yeah.
Is your income.
Insure that.
Like no, you're like you can't be replaced.
Right.
And point. So
educating people on that.
Educating people on that, and then making sure that you have the right amount of coverage, because some people are so many people are far too underinsured. They can barely have enough money to cover the funeral expenses. Wow. And so that's when it becomes really sad, where you start to see the GoFundMe accounts, the car washes and the comidas and trying to collect money at the corner of the street. And so, like, you know, if you are a parent, if you are a husband or a wife, you know, get life insurance. Definitely. Wherever it is, where you decide you want to get it, go get life insurance. Important. Even if it's a little bit that you can afford, go and do it, because it makes the biggest difference for your family. Right. Yeah.
That's a great point. As we're talking about this, one thing that come to mind was how much power people give money, as far as, like, you know, money is like a tool. You know? You can put it here, put it there, put it here. Yeah. It could work it's supposed to work for you. Yeah. You know, you don't work for it necessarily. Yeah. And I think a lot of people kind of get too attached to the money, or don't want to talk about it, don't want to put it here, don't want to, you know, put it in life insurance. So, like, they're not really understanding that, how much of a tool money is. And at the same time, like, definitely people have very challenging lives and situations to the point where it's like, yo, I can't do this or I can't do that. But at the same time, it's like, yes, you can, because sometimes all you it's okay to contribute even a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Dude, people can get a small policy for $10 a month.
$10 a month.
$10 a month. Listen, if you might be thinking, well, Miguel or Crystal, I'm young.
Right.
I don't have any kids. I'm not married. Okay, well, let me tell you. Let me ask you.
That's the perfect time to do it.
You are healthy. You are young. Do you plan on getting married? Do you plan on having kids?
Right.
We don't know what your health is going to be like in the future.
Mm-hmm. That's the fact.
And so it sucks because the clients that I've had who want life insurance the most can't have it because they might be overweight or they had a previous
like pre-existing condition or something like that?
Yeah. And so, yeah, just don't let it get to that point. Like when you're younger, it's the best time to get it.
Especially to start like saving, open up that Roth IRA, or whatever it may be. Like those are I remember when I first got my job at 16. Yeah. I worked at Finish Line at the Cerritos Mall, and I was like, man, I'm hyped to get a job. I'm about to save all this money. Man, I didn't save no money. Like, because then at that age, you're telling yourself that I want to work, I want to save money, I want to do this. You finally get the job, and you're like, "Ooh, I got money." You know,
the next paycheck.
The next paycheck, exactly. Yeah. So, I wish I would have saved more, a lot more. And that's why I think at a young age, when you get that job, definitely stick to that plan of saving.
That, and then also, like, so many people, another little tip that I can give people is HR is going to give you recommendations, but it's not saying that it might not be the best option for you. HR isn't licensed. They're not financial advisors. Right. They're not like insurance agents. Right.
They're just going off the company. Yeah.
So of course, like the 401k and the life insurance, it's only benefiting the employer. Right. Because it's a tax write-off.
Exactly.
So really educate yourself on all those topics, because a lot of the families that I do sit down with, they don't know. They're kind of like, oh, I'm just putting this much because they told me to. Right. And it's like, dude, that's your future. Yeah, that's your retirement. Like, that's your way out of the place that you're in now.
Right. And that's where the education aspect would make a difference, probably, right? Just knowing more about where they're putting their money and what is out there.
And so going back to what people perceive about me is, I don't want people to feel like I'm selling them, because that's never it. It's always education first. And if you don't understand what I'm trying to, like, how I'm trying to help you, we're not going to move forward.
So once people do get that point of like education, understanding, I appreciate you sharing this with me and putting me on game. Yeah. So what's the next step after that? Like,
so first off, we go over people's financial goals. Well, when do you want to retire? Right. How much money do you want to live off of? Do you want to live in California? Because it's going to be a lot more money. Right. And so we back engineer that plan. Nice. And I come back with plan A, plan B, plan C. C being just doing exactly what it is that you're doing now. Let's say they decide to go with plan A. Okay, Miguel. Awesome. Here's your financial plan. In order to get to what's called your financial independence number, the number that's going to eventually put you at retirement and never have to worry about going back to work ever again, you need to put away this much money every single month, growing at this % interest rate. And now it's like we back engineer their plan, and people have a sense of, oh my gosh, I can do this. Right. Now I have something to work towards.
Right. That's a great way to put it and do it. Yeah. And I'm sure now what are some like responses that you get from people when you do that? Like, are they just, oh my God, like, let's do this? Or are they like, I don't like it? Like what are some different responses that you get from families or individuals? Yeah.
It just depends on the individual. If I see that somebody is a little hesitant on it, I don't move forward. Because at the end of the day, I'm setting him up for failure, and then that's bad business on my end. So I never move forward with that. Or if, let's say, somebody's like hesitant about it, then I start to ask questions. Okay, is it the product? Is it the amount of money that you're putting away? Is that too much? Do you want to start with something smaller? Because realistically, this is the first time that they're saving. Right. So we'll be setting them up for failure if we're like $500 a month when they've been saving zero.
Right. They're looking at that like, what?
Yeah. And so I tell them, okay, dude, like, let's not dude. Okay, sir. Sorry, I'm so used to.
No, you're good.
Okay, sir, ma'am. Let's start with $100, and then we'll make our way up.
Right.
And once we consistently start putting away $100 a month, then we'll kick it up to $150. From $150 to $200. From $200, $300. Little by little, building that habit.
Right.
Because if we just go from 0 to $500,
they're gonna see that. Yeah.
And so many times the $500 comes from people who started saving at a very late age. So I always encourage people.
Right. That's a good point.
I always encourage people, the sooner you start, the little amount of money that you're going to have to put away to reach your financial independence number.
Exactly.
Versus the later you start, the more money you're going to have to put away.
Right. Because you don't have that much time.
Yeah. Because you don't have that much time.
That's why I'm saying, like, as soon as you start working, like, I wish I would have at 16.
Yeah.
You know, I should have been on that, you know?
Yeah.
And I wasn't. Even though I was thinking that, I didn't follow through with the education and continuing and actually doing the physical part of putting money away.
Course, yeah.
So, yeah, I totally agree. And I think people need to hop all over that. So definitely reach out to Crystal, y'all. I also asked you a question, something you do regularly, a practice or a habit that is challenging but totally worth it. And you had responded with, a habit that I've held is going to the gym 6 times a week, and a habit I'm trying to build is a morning routine. And you put getting up at 5:30 a.m., prayer, and reading my Bible. So have you been continuing that? Where are you at with that?
So I've been really accountable. So I suggest anything that you're going to do, stay accountable to someone. One of my really good friends from the office, we've been going to the gym. I was like, I tell him, dude, call me because I'm not going to wake up. And so when I wake up, I kind of, do my 5-minute prayer, thank the Lord for another day. And then I read a verse.
Nice.
And
you get that workout in.
And I get that workout in, and then your day just goes by so much smoothly.
Right.
And so for me, it's like when you think about how can somebody build confidence, and your confidence comes from sticking to the things that you said you're going to do.
Exactly. Because
that's the only way that you begin to build your self-confidence, your self-love, self-trust, all of that. Because you're sticking to the things that you said you were going to do.
Right.
And when you don't stick to those things, you're like, you're such a loser. Like, I can't believe you didn't do it. You're so lazy.
That's a good point.
You didn't wake up, and all these thoughts start to come in your head.
Right, those stories.
Yeah.
That reminds me of, because I feel like everyone does that, right? These thoughts that come in, that voice that just kind of creeps in and starts telling us things, and we can either agree or disagree. And, we start making up these stories. And one question that I ask myself when that happens, to really catch myself, is like, who is telling you that?
Oh, yeah.
Or who told you that?
Yep.
That way I could be like, who did tell me? Nobody told me that. Like, that's not true. Nobody, who said that? So that's one thing I've learned to catch when that happens, like, okay, tell myself, well, who told you that? Nobody. Well, why do you believe that's true? Like, where is that coming from?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I totally can relate to that.
And I think that's where the importance of, for me, I don't know, for you, being immersed in his word, because that's the truth.
Yeah, that's true.
Where you are worthy, and you are chosen, and you are mine, and you are loved, and you are fearfully and wonderfully made. Where when I start to read his word, it's just instant confirmation that I am loved, and I have been given another day.
Oh yeah.
So like let's get to work.
Yeah, what are you waiting for?
Yeah.
So, he's in control this entire time. Like,
yeah, and if I'm being honest, like when you had told me, "Hey, come be a part of my podcast," it was instant. Like, well, why does he want to listen to me? Why my story? I mean nothing. Like, I don't have anything to bring to the table. And so I instantly had to correct myself, and I reached up to some of my mentors, and I explained to them how I was feeling, and they just gave me a little bit more reassurance, like, hey, you are worthy, and you do have a lot to bring to the table. So it's really just shifting your mindset. So
I agree.
Really
That's
important.
really like the step one. Going back a little bit, as you're doing this routine, right? As you're sticking to it, as you're working on it, what are some like key factors for you that allow you to continue?
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, you call your friend, hey, call me in the morning because I'm not going to.
Yeah.
That's one, I'm assuming. Are there any other things like that really kind of help you stay disciplined and stick to that?
Yeah, so I mean, like I do my oatmeal in the morning, like have it prepped in the morning, so just grab and go.
Oh, that helps a lot, I bet.
Yeah, in my head, I'm envisioning like the outfit that I'm going to wear, so I already know. That's a good point too. I forgot where I read this or heard it, but a lot of people have their outfits planned the night before. Yeah.
Because when you wake up, you don't want to spend time thinking about what you're going to wear.
Yep.
And I adopted that ever since I found that out. And it's so true.
Yeah.
It's because beforehand, I would be thinking, oh, what am I about to wear?
Yeah.
Taking my time. What shoes? Nah. Like, what? That's a waste of time,
funny.
So the night before, set up your outfit to save you however much time. And you'd be amazed, right? Like, just how that works.
No, and really just pre-planning your day and pre-planning your morning. That's another habit that I'm really trying my hardest to be so committed to, because I say yes to everything. Oh, yeah. So I'm trying my best to stick to my schedule. I feel like I have my morning down pretty good. Nice. Now it's just like continuing on for the rest of the day. But it comes from the night before. Right, definitely, right. Where, okay, Crystal, what are your intentions? What time are you going to get up? And I'm not going to lie, on Wednesday or Thursday, I slept through my alarm, and my friend called me, and I text him, and I'm like, dude, I just can't do it today. I've been go the last 8 days straight. I was like, my body needs a rest. And I think it's also important to give yourself those days. Definitely. And when I woke up that morning, I felt a little like discouraged, but then I gave myself that reassurance and that grace of it's okay to have a day off. Exactly. Because your body needs you for the rest of the week. Right. No, that's absolutely true. Your mind needs you for the rest of the week. And I think that's where we need to be more gentle with ourselves in that aspect. Oh, yeah. We're really hard on ourselves. We want to, establish this routine or schedule or be on it all the time when that's not necessarily the healthiest, or eventually we may start to understand, well, that's not what I really want as far as like always on. Like we do need to schedule that downtime. Yeah. We do, because eventually burnout may happen. Yeah. And we don't, that's one thing that a lot of people don't talk about. Yeah. Like what burnout is and what that looks like and what that feels like. And I know for me, during the pandemic, when everything shifted online, I was going to graduate school, doing my internship, and everything was online. I felt like, oh, okay, so I'm at home now. I'm able to work, do school, and still do all these other things that I can do with other, work stuff. And so I have all this time. Like, I don't got to worry about driving somewhere, wasting time on that, this and that. So, boom, turned it on, kept it on for, like, weeks, and boom, burned out. Like, what the hell? It's very important to schedule that downtime and take that day off or two. Yeah, and I think it's also really important to know and understand what you need at that moment. Yeah. For me, it could be a workout or it can be a walk. Yeah. Many times I'm such a thinker. I think about anything and everything. I get really deep into my thoughts where it's I can relate. I just need to turn on a TV and not think. Yep. And that for me is self-care. Yeah. Yeah. So it's really just finding out who you are as an individual and what works best for you. Yeah, and some self-care too can be like, self-care to me is working on something that I want to work on. Some people thrive in that because they're, maybe occupied with something else. But self-care does look different for everyone, and it's absolutely important for everyone to
engage or incorporate that into their schedule. But no, I'm glad we definitely touch on that, especially when we're all about work and helping. It's also important that we help ourselves as much as we
especially
help
for those
else.
high achieving people, like who want success. And it's okay for you to be like want that success and to be an achiever, but you need to give yourself that time. Yeah. Because I know so many people who are at that level, who are go, and the biggest thing that they're missing is a day off once a week or every other week.
Yeah, and just imagine incorporating that day off and then how much you're on
recharging.
You know?
Dude, that's going to make you an even better person. And even better in your business, in your marriage, and as a mother, as a father.
All that clarity, everything. So that's very important. Yeah. I could think of some people too who could use that. And that's interesting. Where do you think that comes from? Like just that always having it on, go, working. Yeah. Culture, you think? Or where do you...
I would say also culture. I would say it's how you're built, for sure. It's how you're built, how you're raised.
Yeah, a little bit of everything.
For sure for me, it's how I'm built. Yeah, it's how I'm built.
Yeah, I would say that for me too. I've always been... Maybe the sports, right? It's like
I don't know for you, but for me, it's like I always had like superstitions and had my routine and wore my sock, the same sock on the left foot. Yeah. I put my uniform on the same way.
You never washed the whole season.
I'm not gonna lie, that happened one like championship game. I was like, dude, I did so good. Oh well.
I might continue this. I might have to continue this. Everybody like, no, don't continue.
Hey, it's our mindset as athletes,
right?
And so now it's always like, oh, one more rep, one more rep,
right? That's
one
true.
more minute on the treadmill,
true.
one more minute on the stairmaster.
Yep.
Go a little bit heavier, because if I don't, I'm not going to succeed.
How did you identify the things that you wanted to be involved in? Like I know you mentioned being a part of that financial family that you're a part of now, and all the different components that they incorporated, like faith, working out, all these different things. Is that where it all came in for you, or did you take some things from different places, different people you met? Does that make sense?
No, yeah. I think for me, when I moved out of Norwalk and I moved to Hawthorne, and I was going through a few of my things, and then I think when I was like in 4th or 5th grade, I had wrote this little like book, and it said, I want to make a lot of money. Like I want to be rich. Yeah. And one of them said, I want to be a businesswoman. And I think that was pretty cool to look back at.
That is cool.
And I think I always really had it in my heart that I wanted to be successful. My parents did all that they could, but I saw my parents live paycheck to paycheck, and I saw them fight over money. And for me, that's just not a life that I wanted to live. I wanted to be able to travel whenever I wanted. I wanted to be able to buy whatever I wanted, not being able to not having to flip the price tag.
Right, exactly.
But at the same time, being able to give back to people in need. Because, money isn't everything, but when you don't have it, then it becomes a problem.
Oh, yeah.
And so many people say, oh, money is bad, money is bad. It's like, no, the love of money is bad.
Right, that greed.
What you do with what you have it's important.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm also a believer that God has put it in my heart that I need you to become successful because you have a lot of my people that I need you to help.
Amen.
So whether it might not be today, tomorrow, but, there's going to be a few years from now where, maybe my parents might need me or my siblings might need me.
Right.
My kids might need me. So I want to be able to provide them with the best school. I want them to be at a private Christian school. I don't want them in the public system,
I know everything goes on in there, right?
Yeah, and so I want them in the best teams.
You want the best.
I want the best for them.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that
either. So I want the best house. If all these other people live in these houses, why can't I?
Right.
You know?
That's
and
big. No, that's
being
awesome.
able to give back as much as I can.
That's really cool how you're able to go back and discover that little book that you had at such a young age.
It was so cool
and
to
connect
just
all
see
the
that.
dots, like,
Dang.
That
at a young age.
Right.
I already had that mindset.
You were already thinking. You were already dreaming cool. Big.
Yeah. So I think that's where it comes from, where it starts at an early age, and
right.
It's how you're built.
Yeah.
For sure.
I remember that makes me think about a picture that I came across that I drew in I think it was kindergarten.
Yeah.
And it was similar, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And at that time I wanted to be a barber. And now I look back on it and I'm like, I really appreciate, I love getting my hair cut. I just got a haircut this morning.
Yeah.
And now it's like, it's the same, but it's shifted a little bit. Now it's like, I want to own a barbershop.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like, I want to own that.
Yep.
I was about to curse right now. I didn't want to do all that. But no, it's definitely still there. I definitely enjoy the barber industry and all of that.
Yeah.
But now it's like, no, I want to own that, you know? So
yeah. It's really that mindset shift of, dude, how are we going to, and no offense to anybody who's working a 9-to-5
right.
at all.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, that the whole 9-to-5 just isn't for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's why somebody who's the same age as me, putting their thumb over me, mm-hmm. telling me when and what time I can go to lunch, when I can go to the bathroom.
Right, yeah.
Like, what?
Like, that's outrageous.
I'd rather work 40 years for myself than work 40 years for a company
that's true.
That really doesn't care about you because you can be replaced in an instant.
Exactly, I was just going to say that. Like, they don't see you as a person. They just see you as, like, a number.
Yep.
And you can be replaced.
You can be replaced by the next person who has a degree.
Yep. Mm-hmm. With that said, I want to encourage everyone to start their own business today.
Yep.
If not tonight, get on it. There's an internet now. Look in there. Go find something.
Whatever it is that you're passionate about, just go out and do it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I totally agree on that. What's one piece of advice you would give to people who maybe somebody is still unsure about meeting with a financial advisor? Mm-hmm. Maybe, someone has the money but doesn't know where to put it. Mm-hmm. Like, what would one piece of advice that you can give them to maybe convince them, like, hey, this is something that you do need to do right now?
Yeah. I mean, I would say really just put your, whether it's your ego or your pride aside, and really just seek that counsel. Because some people, I don't want people to come to a place where they are like, oh man, I should have done it then.
Right.
Now I'm in this position where I've lost all my money. And
that's common, right? People
it's very common.
Like, think back, like, I should have did it back then.
Mm-hmm. Or I should have started sooner. So it's really just comes down to your pride and your ego, putting that aside and really reaching up for help.
Right.
Because there's people out there who have the skill and who have the knowledge, and just listen to them. They want to help you. They sincerely want to help you.
That's absolutely true. And
that's definitely something that I can say about my office and the people that I work with is we sincerely want to help you.
That was one thing I was going to bring up now that I remember. Do you and your team at the office, do you guys ever do like workshops? Do you ever like go to maybe a company, organization, or a business and maybe conduct a workshop?
Yeah,
Is that something?
Do.
Okay.
Yeah, we do. We do webinars.
Cool.
We're educate families for 30 minutes, quick 30-minute session.
Cool.
I know a few. I've actually myself educated an office of realtors.
Oh, nice.
Because they make a lot of money, but they spend a lot of money.
I was about to say, like, that's good right there.
Yeah, and these people are also 1099, so they are in it for themselves. They need to start their own retirement account, their own, insurance, all that stuff. That's their own responsibility. It's not their employer because they're independent contractors. Right. I know that a friend of mine spoke at like a fire station, which was kind of cool.
Oh, that is cool.
Fire station. A few of my colleagues have also spoke to nurses and doctors who also make a lot of money, but they don't know how to handle their finances.
How did you guys get plugged in there with those companies or those networks?
Really through word of mouth.
Okay.
So it can be a friend of a friend or a family member was like, hey, speak to HR. They can set something up for you.
And do usually the workshops that you give, are they usually given to individuals with higher income levels, or can it be anyone?
It can be anyone.
It could be anyone.
We've done teachers, realtors, like I said, fire stations, the police department.
Okay.
We've done that. Nurses, doctors.
Nice. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it'll be great to bring you guys in for like a Dream Big workshop.
That'd be
that's
awesome.
One thing we've had in the past where Wells Fargo did like a financial literacy workshop type of thing to speak with like families, and parents, right? Mm-hmm. So I think, I'm just going to keep that in mind like later down the road.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Because I would really like to offer that to like parents, who need that education,
mm-hmm.
Even if they're not ready to commit. Like I think the education part alone is huge.
Yeah.
Because maybe, after that, share your information, then they're going to reach out, whatever it may be. But right away, I'm just thinking how important it is to introduce that to parents,
Just awareness for sure.
Right. Yeah.
Any way that I can help for sure.
Yeah. So I'll keep you in mind for that for sure. But that's cool though, that you guys are really out there and putting in that, increasing that awareness.
Yeah.
Yeah. Heck yeah. That's what's up. Rapid fire questions.
Okay.
You ready?
Let's do it.
All right. Before we go into the questions, where can people find you online? Where can people contact you, follow you, or just reach out to you for your services?
Yeah. So my Instagram, I'm mostly on Instagram, just my first name, Crystal Cano. And right there, you're going to see my contact, my direct line, my email, and then my website. So really social media is one of my biggest platforms that
Instagram
people
only,
are
or
able to reach me. Instagram. I'm mostly on Instagram. I would say Facebook, but I'm not really on it.
Okay.
But definitely Instagram. It's my first name, last name, Crystal Cano.
Got it.
And
so
my
Crystal
contact
Cano,
information.
Go ahead. Yeah. No, I was going to say Crystal Cano, Instagram, and website, I believe you mentioned.
It's on there. It's on my profile link.
And I will also link her profile to the podcast as well as the podcast Instagram.
Yeah.
And then you said your contact information.
Oh, yeah. If you would like to give me a call or shoot me a message, it's area code 562-292-9150. Again, it's area code 562-292-9150.
Hey, there you go. You heard it from her first, ladies and gentlemen. I would encourage you to reach out. All right, Crystal, you ready? Rapid fire questions.
Okay, are they like one answer or like...
Whatever you want.
Okay.
It could be a sentence. It could be a paragraph.
Okay, let's do it.
It could be whatever you want, but it'll be one after another.
Wait, you said 5, right? Or just as many?
Just as many.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay. Don't worry about if it's 5 or not. All right, first one. When you think of the word successful, who is the first person that comes to mind and why?
Johanna Mockett.
Why?
Because she's literally everything that I want to become. She is strong in her faith. She is an amazing mother. She is mega successful. Just somebody who I look up to dearly.
Love it. There you go. Give us a concert you'll never forget.
Ooh, Luke Bryan in Florida.
Nice. That sounds fun.
Yeah.
What is something that you believe that other people think is insane?
Oh my gosh. I can't think of it.
It's okay. We can go back to it if you want.
Okay, we'll go back to it.
Okay. What is something that most people get wrong about you?
I have this like resting BITCH face. But when they really get to know me, they're like, oh my gosh, you're really sweet. Yeah. You're really cool.
Do people like share with you afterwards? I thought you were a mean person.
No, seriously, they do.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Okay. So I try to smile more.
Yeah, there you go. One thing that you know now that you wish you knew 5 years ago.
Everything happens for a reason. Don't stress the little things.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
One piece of advice that you want all listeners to take with them after listening to this episode.
Really just find what makes you happy, your purpose. What is it that brings you happiness and joy? You don't want to live a life that's draining and frustrating. It's like we weren't created for that.
Right.
So really just search for something that you really love and care deeply about.
Love it. That's so true.
Don't stay stuck. Always be growing. Because
be growing.
When you stop growing, you're dying.
And OQP, only quality people too.
Yep.
I just threw that in there. It came to mind. Tell me one thing you are grateful for.
Ooh, God's grace.
Ooh, amen. Going back, what is something that you believe in that other people think is insane?
Gosh, I can't think
Good
of
question.
that one.
That's a good question.
What is one thing that I believe in that people think that's insane?
Nothing? Pass?
Pass.
That's
I
okay.
Can't. I'll probably message you later and tell you.
No worries. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Crystal for you. Crystal, thank you again for being on the podcast. Deeply appreciate your time and all the work that you're doing for families out there. So thank you for being on the podcast.
No, Miguel, I appreciate you, and in any way that I can help you and the Dream Big project,
Oh yeah, we'll definitely be staying
here.
in touch.
Of course.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good day, everyone. Good night. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Peace.